Hot take, but I'm not scared to say it. Running sucks, at least for me, but it can lead to some pretty cool art, so we are going to make some of that. See, I have this friend, we'll call her Dakota. See, Dakota just ran her first ever marathon, which is an incredible accomplishment. And her birthday's coming up in like a week. So I want to recreate one of those pen plotter maps that you might have seen before, that first draws out the city, and then over the top of that, it plots out the entire 26.2-mile journey that she took. That way, she can hang it on her wall, show off a little bit, and remember that accomplishment. There's one small problem though. I do not own a pen plotter, but I do own a vinyl cutter that has a pen attachment, so we're going to see if we can make that work. And of course, I start out where I usually do, seeing if someone else did the work for me. And I did find a GitHub page by a person that goes by the name of Pybro or Piebro, not sure, detailing how to pull information from OpenStreetMaps and then plot out that data using a tool that they also designed. Now to figure out where to look in OpenStreetMaps, and luckily the route was posted to Facebook prior to the race. And at the top here you can see that this specific race is the Publix Atlanta Marathon for 2026. And I can use this map to take note of some landmarks that I can use for our boundaries. In the north here we have that the route goes through Piedmont Park, which you can just read here. And our northern boundary extends just to where the park comes to a point at the top. In the south, we go just underneath Grant Park, which you can barely read here. And then again, our southern border extends just below that. On the east, the route actually travels up Moreland Avenue for a little bit, so we'll extend it just to the right of that. And on the left, you have Morehouse College, and actually this is Spelman College right here. So we go just to the west of that, and that's our boundary. And just for one final landmark, there are actually two bodies of water in this upper left-hand corner that I have since learned is actually one reservoir. So as long as we keep that in the upper left-hand corner of our square, we should be good to go. And if we pull up those boundaries in OpenStreetMap, it looks like this. So to double check, we can see that all of our landmarks are visible. Piedmont Park here at the top, coming to a point. And we have Grant Park at the bottom, Moreland Avenue, and of course Morehouse College. And our reservoir is indeed in the corner, so this looks perfect. So the GitHub page then instructs you to download this Overpass API and upload it into the plotter tool. And doing that looks like this. And I already know that this is not going to work. It is way too densely packed with the lines. And that's after I toggled off the buildings and lowered the line stroke to width 3 instead of 10. And zooming in, you can see that it has all of these alleyways and parking lots and small streets that are completely superfluous. Just for fun, I did try uploading this into Cricut Design Space, and apparently we are only allowed to use 5,000 paths, and this uses a whopping 36,000, so definitely not going to work. So I need to find a way to eliminate some of those smaller streets. And after some Googling, I found this website called Overpass Turbo, where you can do exactly that by writing your own queries to include specific roads. And after some trial and error, I wrote a query to limit the lines to just these types of roads, as well as parks, bodies of water, and of course, colleges, so that we can get Morehouse, Spelman, and Georgia Tech. And hopefully that map will give us exactly what we are looking for. But then I ran into the next hurdle. I tried exporting this data as every single one of these options, and none of them are able to be uploaded into the plotting tool that we were using earlier. So I did even more Googling and found a program called QGIS, and I'll spare you the headache of this program since I really don't understand what it's for or even how to use it. But after fumbling my way through it, I was somehow able to save the map data as an SVG that can be uploaded into Cricut Design Space. And fortunately, by some miracle, it comes in under 5,000 paths. And all of that is step 1 complete, so now we can move on to the actual route of the race, which starts by bringing that Facebook image into Procreate. Then I can use the select tool to get the half marathon and the full marathon routes and copy those onto their own layer. Then I can add a layer on top of that, turn it fully black, and set that as a clipping mask. So that should turn both of those paths black as well. Then I just need to do a little bit of cleanup, getting rid of some of those mile markers and filling in some of the spaces that didn't quite copy over. And with that, I have the full marathon route traced out and ready to upload into Cricut Design Space. And I can click this eye to toggle that on, and here is what it looks like overlaid on the first map. So I went ahead and I also added the mile markers, as well as the start and the finish lines, and the race name at the bottom. Finally, as one additional Easter egg, I did put the Georgia Tech logo where the campus is, because that's where Dakota went to college. I asked her boyfriend what her favorite color was, because I wanted to make that the main color of the map, and he said blue or lavender, and she doesn't really like those all that much. So we're going with blue. Not only because it's a maybe favorite, but also because it looks pretty good against the black background compared to some of these other colors. But Dakota, if you are watching this and you see another color that looks better to you, I could probably make another one, so just let me know. So with my blue pen and the pen holder, we can go ahead and get started. And I'll do my best to get some cool action shots and angles of the process in motion. Okay, the first layer is done. Let's see how we're looking. Not too bad if I do say so myself. The white pen has now been installed and the race path has been loaded, so now time for part 2. So I'll admit, not nearly as satisfying to watch as an actual pen plotter, but I think it still looked pretty cool. And I think it came out relatively well, but let me tell you why I'm not happy with it. So unfortunately now I do think that there is just too much negative space everywhere, and I may have overcorrected when it comes to the density of the streets, so I need to find a happy medium there. And that's somewhat related are the major highways running through the center here, especially the downtown connector in this area. They're far more pronounced and defined in the open street maps, and I wish they kept that definition and recognizability. So I'm going to go back and see if I can fix that. So we're heading back to Overpass Turbo, where I was able to write another query that includes more road types. Specifically, I was able to add tertiary, residential, and trunk highways, which should increase that road density to hopefully where we want it. And we should be able to get a pretty good idea once we upload it into QGIS, and I think it's looking pretty good as long as we can upload it to Cricut Design Space, so fingers crossed. And it is a Christmas miracle, somehow still under 5,000 paths. Just imagine how crazy the 36,000 path one would have been. And I know this one still looks pretty chaotic, but I think the white race path should stand out among all the blue roads and look perfect. But there's only one way to find out, and this plot took almost an hour, so I'll skip ahead and just show you the finished piece. And here is that finished product, and I am so much happier with how this one turned out. I don't think it's too busy at all, and I'll give you a close-up so you can really see and judge for yourself. If I had one complaint, it would be that it is slightly off-centered, and I don't know how I managed to do that, but it is slightly too high and to the left. So if I were to change something, I would cut off a strip from over here, and from the bottom, I would center the route and then blow it up just a little bit so it's a little easier to see, and of course in the center. And I actually did that, but I ran out of blue ink, so I had to do it in the lavender ink. Since that's technically one of the maybe favorites, this might be a better choice, and honestly, I'll just present both of them to her, and Dakota can decide which one she likes better and wants to display. But what do you think? Is this a decent birthday present? I certainly think so. In fact, I kind of want one of my own, despite the fact that I am not a runner at all. But maybe I should run a 5K. Should that be a project on the list? I'll think about it. Speaking of the big list of projects, this does not check anything off of the list directly, though it is progress for one, but I can't exactly talk about that any further. But next video, we are going back to the big list of projects proper with a new addition to the list that I'm going to be knocking out really quickly. And then I think we're going to be firing some of those clay samples from over a year ago. So subscribe to the channel if you have any interest in seeing those clay samples finally get fired after all this time, or if you're a fan of the anime Daemons of the Shadow Realm, teaser for next time. I know this project was mostly on the computer, and I don't expect many people to vibe with that, so I'm sure not a lot of people have made it to this point. So if you're one of the few people that stuck around, thank you so much for doing that, and thank you for watching the video. And of course, as always, special thank you to Thad Carpenter and Thomas Computes for being my top members. Your support is so appreciated, you have no idea. But with that, I am out of here, so I'll see you next time. Peace. Heck yeah, look at you. Only the true fans have what it takes to make it to the end, and you did that. Appreciate it. If you like that video and you like Zelda builds, you might like my life-size builds of the Zora Fishbone guitar and the Zora Crab bass. I got both of those on the playlist, and another video on the left that I think you might like too. Check it out, and click the circle in the center to subscribe. Love you. Blop.